I have three movies to talk about. I'm excited to talk about all three of them, so let's just get right into it. First, I watched The Little Mermaid. This is a remake of the Disney classic, The Little Mermaid. And to be completely honest with you guys, I had not seen the animated film, and so I watched that right before I went and saw the new one. And I thought the original was okay. I didn't love it. I thought Ariel was just kind of not really well rounded or written character, and so I was just like, okay, let's see if they fix that in the remake. And I think they improved upon it, but at the same time, the movie never justified its existence for me. And particularly going live action with it, because the thing is, oh, they're live action remakes, movies that were once animated. Now let's bring them to life because we can now. And the thing is, I'm watching it, I'm like, well, could we actually bring it to life? Because the CGI here is really not that good. When the trailers came out for this movie, I thought the CGI didn't look that bad. I remember I saw the trailers and I said, this does not look horrible. People are acting like it's really, really bad, and I never thought it looked horrendous. And then I saw the movie, and then I feel like I finally saw the CGI for what it actually was, because the CGI, particularly under the water, and it's not like the water looks fake, because people say that and it confused me. I thought maybe the water would look fake. It's the other mermaids. They don't look real, and they look like CGI computer-generated images, and it really shows in every single ounce of the underwater sequences. But, if you know the classic Little Mermaid story, not all the movies underwater. So whenever it was above water, it was just fine. It wasn't anything mind-blowing. The movie never justified its existence. There are things that are built upon, which I did like better, particularly within Ariel's character. They find ways to get her voice more out there, even though she, the classic Little Mermaid's story, even though she can't speak for half the film, it finds clever ways to weave around that. And I enjoyed Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. I think she was perfect casting. And, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. A movie that had its strong elements, had some small improvements over the original, but never justified its existence because it doesn't look good. It never engaged me. There are some additional songs, if you're on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about, with Aquafina, and she's rapping, and it's one of the most annoying things I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, that is The Little Mermaid, and I'm going to give it a 5.2 out of 10. Next up, I'm going to talk about the sequel to Extraction, Extraction 2. I really like the first Extraction. I think it's a really fun action movie, and I thought Extraction 2 was an improvement. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it had some extravagant action sequences from beginning to end. It peaks a little too early. There is a heist sequence, not a heist sequence, there is a prison break sequence that is amazing, but it builds into this train sequence, which I think is the best of the movie, and one of the best action sequences of this year, for not counting the entirety of John Wick Chapter 4. This train sequence is very visceral. I mean, it's meant to have a one-take look, but you can tell where they do digital cuts. But it has this really nice, seamless flow to it. And the big difference between like a movie like Extraction and like John Wick is that this movie has the big muscle guns just firing at every second. You have helicopters swarming over us. Well, John Wick does have elements of that. Here it's a lot more like Chris Hemsworth muscle type, let's kill them all type thing, while Keanu Reeves is a lot more slick and stylish, but yet still kind of murders them all. It's just they're very different, and it was cool to see these two movies be very similar but yet different. John Wick 4 is obviously the much better movie, and it's just a lot more satisfying. And my biggest issue with this movie is that when it ended, I wasn't particularly satisfied as an audience member. It isn't the most satisfying ending in the world. I mean, the story of the film is complete, but where it leaves our characters, it makes me wanting more. And I know it's just bait for another film, but at the same time, it just made me kind of like, okay, we can still end this movie and still have a third movie coming. And because it's not necessarily a cliffhanger, because it's not a cliffhanger, it's where we leave our characters, I just felt a little uneasy with. Like I said, the movie peaks way too early. This whole prison break sequence is like a maybe up until like the halfway point of the movie, and then we have the other half of the movie to go, where it does have some fantastic sequences from there. It just never quite tops itself. Chris Hemsworth is fantastic in the movie. He does exactly what he needs to do, and he does it really, really well. The script doesn't require that much from him, but whenever he's needed to show up when it comes to dramatic moments, he shows up and does a pretty good job. It's a fun action movie. Yes, it has a generic villain, generic story, but when the action sequences are done this well and it's this much fun and popcorn shoved in your face. What's not to enjoy about it? I'm going to give Extraction 2 a 7.4 out of 10. And last movie I'm going to be talking about is the new Disney Pixar film, Elemental. This was premiered at Cannes Film Festival, and it was not a good move on Disney's end because they did not like it over there, but since they've screened it since, word of mouth got a whole lot better, and it jumped from like a 50-something on Rotten Tomatoes, and now it's in the 70s. And so I was excited to see what Pixar has cooking right now, because the last couple of Pixar movies haven't been my favorite. I didn't care for Lightyear. I mean, I thought Lightyear was good, not great. Turning Red, I thought the same. And this is a little bit better than those movies, but still not like the Pixar that we all know and love. I think it's a step closer, but I feel like we're just inching towards it when I just need like another great Pixar movie. Like, we still have Soul, which is fantastic, and I really like the Toy Story 4. It's just I really feel like we need a new, like, another Soul, but a little bit more kids-friendly. Elemental, I did really enjoy the movie. I do kind of feel like it might struggle to get a childlike audience because it has a lot of good bits that kids will like, but the story itself being more of a romance, I don't see children necessarily buying into as much. That's an issue for Soul, where I feel like definitely Soul is not a movie kids will appreciate at all. I mean, besides like a couple of elements, but I love Soul regardless. But you know what I mean, where Lightyear and Turning Red feels like it's just kind of trying to gear towards more kids, and I feel like we're struggling to find that balance between great movie and a movie that's meant for kids as well. Because I do think that Elemental was a pretty good kids movie, but I, at the same time, think, well, the kids like it though. Like, it's a good Pixar film, but there's so many themes here that I feel like kids won't pick up on. And Pixar has always been littered with things that kids won't pick up on and things that adults can appreciate thematically. But at the same time, when Elemental is as straightforward as it is with its romance, and it has some pretty on-the-nose symbolism that I don't think will age very well, it just makes me hope that it was just a little bit better. And talking about the symbolism, of course, we're in this world where there's fire people, there's air people, there's this and that. It kind of normalizes what would be racism in our world, because there's, people walking around the city, and they call them names after what makes them unique. Like if someone's, the fire girl, they'll call her like, Watch It Flame. I don't know if that's exactly what they said, but I'm just thinking to myself, in human version, that would be a lot worse. So I feel like it was a little bit of a normalization of some things that might not be appropriate under the proper context. Maybe it'll just go over the kids' heads. I don't know. The characters, I thought were really likable this time, very memorable. I thought the characters here were more memorable than Buzz Lightyear in the Lightyear movie. I thought they were all very likable, very charming. Like I said, lots of good bits that are funny. It's a genuinely funny movie where it doesn't feel like it's just trying to shove kids' humor down my throat. That's just unfunny. This is actually felt like genuine humor for everyone to enjoy. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good. And even though, yes, I do have my complaints about its symbolism that is going for, there is some thematic things that they go for, some nice moments between the characters, and overall, I think it's a pretty solid kids movie. But it could have been a great movie. A couple of small script changes. This could have been a really, really great Pixar film. It was so close, but it missed it, sadly. But I still enjoyed the movie, and I'm as well going to give Elemental a 7.4 out of 10. Same score as Extraction 2. Yes, I enjoyed Extraction more. Ultimately, I think the same tier of film, just quality-wise. So yeah. Anyways, comment down below what you guys thought of any of these movies. I'm very curious to see what you guys thought of any of these. So yeah. Like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.